My name is Samantha Gales. I just go by Sam, and I am a mixed media artist based in Wichita, Kansas. I really enjoy getting to use different fabrics and textures, and I do a lot of self-portrait collages as well, because I like to represent myself throughout my work. When I was a kid growing up, I had a big family. I'm technically the second youngest. I have a twin brother. And growing up, it was a lot of hand-me-downs. Nobody wants to be known as the kid that has just the hand-me-downs, you know. So you gotta fix them up a little bit, make them better than what they originally were. And so that's how I kind of got started as an artist as well, is because we didn't always have a lot of money growing up, so we had to work with what we had. And I would use just regular notebook paper and pen and pencil. So the basics of the basics. That's kind of how I slowly got started, and then I used a lot of stuff I had around the house, like different pencil shavings or just random stuff. Like makeup, I've done artwork with my makeup before, expired makeup, just because I like to be able to use things rather than just going into a landfill. I think having a huge family growing up really helps me become the artist that I am currently. I have a brother, an older brother, an older sister, and then a twin brother. And so a lot of times we all have very different personalities. I'm definitely the black sheep of the family, as they say. Not in a bad way, but I'm just definitely the weird one. So I've always really been drawn to colors and patterns. Growing up, I would take a lot of their fabrics and stuff, like clothes and stuff, and I would sew them together. I started to learn how to sew at a younger age, so I use a lot of that in my artwork as well. A lot of us artists are weird, and so growing up, I didn't feel really connected to a lot of the kids at my school. My family are big sports people, and I am not. My escape was getting to go and make pottery and paintings and drawings. In Miss Rimley's class, Miss Rimley, she was my 6th grade teacher, but she really had a big effect on me as a kid, because she just had so much support for everything that I did. It wasn't always that way. A lot of people thought my stuff was weird. They didn't like my stuff. It was too cartoony. Because of her support, I think I was able to really follow through and follow with art throughout high school and college. And then I graduated with a degree in applied drawing. And lots of my professors at WSU too, they really contributed to me wanting to stick with this and become an artist full time. And that's why I became a teacher. That's why I teach art now too. We did go on a New York trip when I was in college with Robert Bupp, and he took me to see the Basquiat Museum, and that was kind of a turning point for my career, getting to see all his stuff in person. We got to see his studio, his old studio, and his family had organized that event for him, and he really inspired me to start making more sculptural art. I do lots of sculptural and painting combined into one, and when I saw his stuff, it cemented that for me. I also really enjoy finding things on the side of the road. The challenge of being able to use random things to make something new and beautiful has always been really fun for me. I'm mixed, so my mom is black, and I'm mixed with a lot of things, and my dad is white and Native American. And so I have always embraced that culture. I think it was always interesting to see the art world, especially when you get higher up into galleries. There's a lot of white privilege in this space. I don't want to lose connection with my own culture, and I always want to make sure that people, even though I can be white passing at times, I think that it is important to have those faces for young kids to see that want to become artists. And it's always important to show that diversity, especially in a space that is hard to make it sometimes as a artist of color. And so that's just something I like to always include in my art. I like to do lots of black and white. When I use black and white in my pieces, it's a representation of me directly. So I'll do lots of checkered patterns, zebras, and stuff like that. And so that's kind of a direct response to having my culture and my heritage in my pieces. In black culture, there are a lot of patterns and colors, and it's bright and it's fun, and so I like to include those in my stuff. And I have always been someone that isn't afraid to stand out. I know art can be controversial for some people, because you have modern art and then there's contemporary art. A lot of people think that everything's been made, that art there's nothing new. And while that might be true, I think there are always new ways of doing things and making them unique to you or your story or your heritage, your culture. And I think that there's still so much cool art being made today. One of my artists that I'm inspired by is Trenton Doyle Hancock. He makes a lot of similar patterns and textures. He focuses a lot on the Black experience in America. So if you haven't, you should research him and look him up. He makes some super cool stuff. And I just think that there's so many artists, and there will continue to be so many artists, young kids growing up that see these things and are inspired by them and keep making these powerful pieces. Even if it's a square on a canvas, it can have meaning and it can be powerful to somebody. All art is subjective, so not to sound like a cliche, but a lot of my pieces, recently I've been doing like a skeleton collection. So like there are animal skulls mixed in with different fabrics and inks and colors and stuff. And that was kind of a sub thing for me as just something fun to do when I was having an artist block on my own art. I do, my stuff I do lots of collage with me usually as the focus. But my colorful clashings, I've done like a zebra, a moose, I've done parrots, a wolf skull. So it bounces between skulls and animal heads recently, just because I like to be able to make those super colorful, even though the animal itself isn't always necessarily colorful. I like to tell people I like to make their eyes hurt. That's my goal. So I do a lot of like optical illusion art and stuff, but I just want people to look at it and smile because it's colorful, it's cool, or they can stare at it for a while and process all the things because there's different layers and everything. But my main goal is I like to include humor in my art. I am a naturally funny person, not to like brag or anything, but I enjoy humor. So all of my stuff has a little bit of humor in it. My most recent pieces, one of them is Nice Catch Larry with the moose, and then the other one is Larry. The zebra is named Larry. And so they're connected, they're like one piece. But most people wouldn't know that. It's just something funny for me. There's always room for humor in the art world. I think sometimes people take themselves a little too seriously. I just want to be remembered as someone that is kind and someone that is funny. And I think that everything that comes after is a plus. But I always want people to be able to see my art and recognize that that is my art. I would like to get to the point where people are like, that's Sam Gales' art, I think. And once I've reached that, I feel like I've gotten to a point that I never thought I would have even been able to get to. I embrace being unique, being weird. I was bullied a lot as a kid growing up, and I think that helped me. Now a lot of people see me as an artist and like, oh, that's what she's doing now. And I think it's just, I want people to know that you can make it being kind. You don't have to step on other people. You don't have to like copy other people's art to make it as an artist. And I just want people to know that you can do whatever you want and someone is gonna like it. Even if people tell you that it's not that good or it's not anatomically correct, you can have like, you can develop your own style and still be a great artist.